Namaste Bharata. Our understanding of Indian national movement from the time period 1905 to 1920 would importantly include the partition of Bengal, a reaction to the partition, a growth in extremist phase of leadership in Congress, boycott and Swadeshi movements, split due to ideological differences in the INC, emergence of Home Rule League movements, the calls for self-governments, and very importantly, emergence of Gandhi and his leadership in the form of Satyagraha movements in creating a momentum towards building masses and creating opinion amongst the masses towards the cause of nationalism. At the onset, when we understand the conditions behind the growth of militant school of thought, how they stand different from the moderate phase that believed in pleas and petitions in the form of annual resolutions presented to the government of British. In contrast to that, a very strong belief in a kind of a direct political action, a kind of a goal where Swaraj is envisioned towards the callings of national movement, a kind of a hatred towards all kinds of foreign rules, and India's salvation in creation of an independent nation is what is the ideology that picked momentum. At around 1903, with the coming of an idea that was propagated, that was made public, that there's a government's decision to partition Bengal. And by around 1905, when Bengal partition takes place, with a strong official reason that Bengal, with a huge population and geographical area, for its better administration, for its better governance, needs to be divided. Now, carefully examining this aspect, what happens is Bengal becomes the epicenter right from 1890s in the entire of the country towards a resistance, towards ideological resistance, towards causing voices against the British rule, causing voices in creating a momentum against British rule. The indifferences of the British government, the authorities, towards the distressed agricultural conditions, unemployed youth, or the indifferences meted out during the famine conditions of 1896, or rather up to 1900, all of them cause a kind of a mistrust upon the British rulers in engaging in any kind of welfare towards Indians. Now here, when Bengal is partitioned, especially on the basis of language and religion, very sensitive elements that create the cultural harmony and peace amongst the citizens or amongst the people, when partition takes place in and around 1905, as a result, as a resistance against this partition, Swadeshi movement or rather the boycott movement takes place. This was purely to oppose the British decision of partition. What happens is, good amount of public opinion against the partition proposal is to be created, and that is what the work is witnessed for amongst the leaders. Here a few sessions of the Congress are going to be important for us. The sessions of 1905, where Gopal Krishna Gokhale was the president. The sessions of 1907, where Raj Bihari Ghosh is the president. The sessions of 1911, where Bishan Narayan Dhar is the president. The session of 1916, where A.C. Mujumdar is the president, and the session of 1917, where Annie Besant is the president. Now, when G.K. Gokhale at Kolkata, or then Calcutta, is the president of INC, a very strong resolution against the partition of Bengal and a call, a draft towards Swadeshi movement is given. Now what happens is, this time period, there were leaders like Surendranath Banerjee who also came up with certain anti-partition kind of movements, who also had ideas where a clear-cut recognition of divide and rule between the Hindus and Muslims, a division to be caused and then ruled. This kind of a policy was basically created by British. This idea was basically recognized. And the time period between 1899 up to 1905 is when Viceroy Lord Curzon is in power. Somehow, Curzon was never to be favoring great welfare for Indians. He somehow was notoriously known for the suppression of the uprisings against the British government. In this context, a very strong opinion, especially propagating amongst the public against foreign clothes, foreign material, kind of a creation of a national sentiment through literatures, through writing of poems, through speeches, through authoring of books, through skits, through dramas, sensitizing the position of Indian National Congress amongst the people to create an opinion that something wrong is happening. A kind of a divide between the two communities, Muslims and Hindus, especially the way it was appeased by Curzon amongst the Muslims, creating insecurity towards Muslims. A sensitivity was gauged and was spoken against by Congress. But when the moderate-led movements had failed, and when a strong suppressive measures were planned by the government, especially 1907 Seditious Meetings Act, 1908 Criminal Law Act, 1908 Indian Newspapers Act, 1908 Explosive Substances Act, and very importantly, the one that restricts a lot, 1910 Indian Press Act. These kind of suppressive measures, and not just this, the atrocious corporal punishments meted out against the Indians who took part in the Swadeshi or boycott movements, all of them had galvanized a great momentum amongst militant leadership. Now, when burning of foreign clothes, when picketing of shops, all of them were taking place, a very strong role of the students, of the women through their participation in this movement is observed. Although upper class Muslims did not participate per se, but there were sections of the people from Muslim community, Liaquat Hussain, Maulana Azad, who supported this movement, who had a cause in seeing in this movement. Now, this is where we see the coming of the leaderships by Lokmanya Tilak, Aurobindo Ghosh, and rest of the extremist ideologies. The militant nationalists, especially Tilak, Lala Lajpat Rai, Bipin Chandra Pal, Aurobindo Ghosh, who picked up the momentum with a very strong cause of expanding the Swadeshi movement, the boycott movement, expanding it from Bengal to rest of the regions, who wanted to extend Swadeshi movement, especially Tilak, who is considered the father of Indian unrest, who wanted to expand the movement about everything related to British rule in India, that is boycotting government service, legislative councils, schools, colleges. He wanted to, or rather this set of leaders, they wanted to expand this movement to all other provinces. And a very strong momentum towards Swaraj, the idea of Swaraj, is floated here by Tilak. And this reference of not limiting this call, especially the call of independence, Swaraj, not limiting it to Bengal, he comes up with a very famous quote, or comes up with a very famous calling as to Swaraj is his birthright and he shall claim it. The ideas that he floated upon, that is, the cultural galvanization, the mobilization of masses through various festivals, Shivaji festivals, Ganesh Chaturthi, the coming up of newspapers by him, the bringing of, strong public opinion, of creating, an union towards, or rather unity towards this cause. Here, a very strong difference between the moderate sections of the leaders of INC and extremist sections who were very strong with their opinion about direct actions emerges. This is the time period where 1906 and 1907 Congress undergoes a transition. Meaning that all the extremist programs, especially the ideas where political freedom is the life breath of a nation, the statements by Aurobindo, the ideas of India's independence at the central place in the Indian politics, the goal of independence was to be achieved through self-sacrifices. These kind of new forms of struggles, these kind of inputs towards public meetings, towards processions, towards voluntary organizations, all of them ultimately seeded the idea of self-reliance, Atma Shakti, the emphasis towards Swadeshi, especially the ideas of our own culture being embedded in the path of struggle. Now here we see an extent of it expanding to the education also. The National Council of Education in 1906, which comes up only to boycott the Western education. We see to this extent the organizing capacity of these leaders picking up momentum. Now, when differences between moderates and extremists increased and the supremacy of moderates within the Congress at that time period divided the or rather brought in the ideological differences at foray, then in 1907 at Surat, the extremist leaders, they create a momentum amongst the youth who patronize or rather who emphasize upon heroic activity, who seed the growth towards revolutionary nationalism. Amongst these and the moderates, there stands a split. So the session of 1907 at Surat witnesses a very strong dissent by the extremist leaders in the phases that occurred till then, since inception in 1885 amongst the moderate leaders. And this Banaras session, where Gokhale himself was presided, and the role of the President of the Indian National Congress is very immense when it comes to the final resolution of that Congress. Meaning that the ideas, the nature, the belief of the President of the Indian National Congress is reflected, is very influential in the final outcome of the Congress session, in the final resolution that is drafted of the Indian National Congress. Now, ultimately, when there is a emergence of extremist phase or emergence of extremist action, and when the momentum towards uprisings or revolt against the British rule is sensed by the British rulers, then naturally there would be an effort to suppress it. Meaning that there would definitely be something called suppression measures by the government towards these. For example, the Press Act was a very strong suppressive measure at that time period. In fact, lathi charge, imprisonment of these top leaders, rendering the movements leaderless, and all of these ideas, or rather these measures, and ultimately the imprisonment or the jailing of Tilak in 1908, all of these can be observed. Now what happens is, after the split, what does it mean for the leadership of the Congress is, moderates stopped the movement, boycott movement, Swadeshi movement, but extremist group of people and leaders, they continue it in their capacities, motivating the youth especially towards such heroic activities. And we see the coming of Anushilan Samiti. We see a kind of a violent representation of actions, especially the killing of British officials by Chapekar brothers. We see Abhinava Bharata and all of them. These kind of references is what is observed. The momentum of revolutionary extremist nationalism was seen abroad also. Almost by around 1905, Shyamji Krishnavarma set up a Indian Home Rule Society and Indian House, and he also brought out the journal The Sociologist back in London. By 1909, Madan Lal Dhingra had murdered Curzon Wiley. Madame Bikaji Kama had started operating from Paris and Geneva, and the journal Vande Mataram was brought out. What exactly this indicates is a momentum towards creating an opinion against the British rule, their suppressive and repressive attitude, and the calls of self-government. Although whether the self-government would be shaped in the form of a dominion status or an entirely sovereign nation in the form of independent nation was not clear, but the call, a vague call of what Swaraj would mean was created. And Swaraj would definitely mean an end to British rule. Now here comes the Act, the Morley-Minto reforms of 1909. What exactly this was created for was, it stands as a British proposal rather to appease the moderates, that we would bring up structural changes, we would bring in structural reforms to the government of India, or rather government in India, and we shall present these through this Act of 1909. Definitely, the Acts of 1861, 1892 had given us an initiation into the parliamentary structure of representation, or rather parliamentary system of democracy. They had initiated us into that democratic institution. Now what we see here is, once again there is an increase in the size of legislative council. Now, for the first time, the Indian person, or rather Indians, were provided space as part of the executive council of the viceroy and the governors, and Satyendra Sinha is the first member to be that kind of a executive council's member. Legislatures could pass resolutions, ask questions, supplementaries, vote partially for separate items of the budget, not completely, very partially. But very importantly, what happened was a separate electorates was introduced. A separate electorate for Muslims was introduced. Meaning that when in a constituencies at provincial and central legislatures, when in a constituency there would be elections and the constituency is represented by a Muslim leader, To a great extent, no non-Muslim would be able to participate in voting in that constituency. Only Muslims will elect the Muslim leader. This is what would have been the meaning of separate electorates. Now, the system provided for central council and the provincial council. And the central council, the members expanded from 16 to 60. But there would be different categories of nominations, or rather nominated officials into it, who belong to different castes. There would be ex officio members, there would be nominated ex officio members, there would be nominated non-officials, there would be elected non-officials. Somehow, all of these constituents created a space for Indians to reach to the central council. Now, this is the time period where World War I also stands to be occurring, or rather building momentum. And although no kind of responsibilities was entrusted to the legislators, which was the basic demand, and no greater participation was given to Indians, which was a very strong demand, the shadows, the impounding threats of building of the World War I did have its definite impact in its correlation with the rest of the data. What happened is, the entire reforms of 1909 provided no any kind of an answer to the Indian political problems. The constitutional reforms created a kind of a divide and further confused the leaders on Indian side rather than bringing in reforms. So, what exactly people had been demanding, self-government, Swaraj, this was not acknowledged at all. Now, the impact that has to be correlated with World War was Britain was seeking support towards itself, wanted to keep things at peace, especially its colonial rules or colonial areas of rule, which would have fed it with economic gains in waging the war or sustaining the war and all of it. So, since moderates since inception of Congress believed in British rule, they stood to support the empire in the war as a matter of duty. But extremists, by around 1914 when Tilak was released, he also took a misbelief on the British rulers and went on to believe that Britain would repay to India's loyalty in the form of self-government. It would award it self-government. But there were a section of revolutionary group who could take up this opportunity to wage a war on British rule and wanted to liberate the country also. This is what is the phase of revolutionary activity during the First World War. Here, although the discussions would not go in detail, but the Ghadar party The Gadar party, which stands to be a very strong revolutionary group, especially the way it was formed as a newspaper, the Gadar, where its headquarters was at San Francisco, US coast. They had a program to organize assassinations, killings of officials. They wanted to publish revolutionary anti-imperialist literature. They wanted to work among Indian troops stationed abroad, procure arms, and bring out a simultaneous revolt in all the British colonies. Now, all of these intentions, especially the Gadar movements, the Gadarites, they were led by Lala Hardayal, Ramchandra, Bhagwan Singh, Kartar Singh Sarba, and people like him. They wanted to bring in a revolt in India.